Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jodi and I'm really glad that you're here today. And if you are looking to lighten your makeup look as we go through spring and summer, and you love Friday face-offs, then you have come to the right place because today, Friday face-off is all about finding the right tinted moisturizer for your more mature skin so that we can put down our full coverage, maybe just for a few months. I'm gonna give it my best shot. How about you guys? You ready to set aside that full coverage foundation and perhaps pick up a tinted moisturizer or tinted serum or tinted moisturizing balm? The names are somewhat interchangeable at this stage. I know I am, but it has to work and it has to cover some of the imperfections I have on my skin. So today's Friday face-off, I've got two good products lined up for you, and we will go through a series of reviews. We're gonna measure the Joans Road WTF up against the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer Natural Skin Perfector. So let's get into the details before we start to apply these products and see how they wear. The Joans Road WTF is not a tinted moisturizer, but it's not a foundation. It's in a category that Bobbi Brown has declared sort of that in-between, which is a tinted balm. So we're gonna test it in the tinted moisturizer space. Otherwise, this would win hands down because there are no other products in this individual tinted moisture balm category. Even though WTF means what the foundation, it's not really a foundation. So when you look at how it wears, it's more of a lightweight, very sheer coverage. It wears more like a tinted moisturizer. So that's why I opted to put it in the tinted moisturizer face-off. So for 1.14 ounces, this sells for $44 and comes in 12 shades. It was created to blend across all skin tones. And as you know, the founder of Joans Road is Bobbi Brown, who knows how to do cosmetics. Now what it says about this is it's a light to medium coverage and it is buildable. This contains essential oils and wax, and it is a creamy formula. You guys, I have it in light clear. It's a creamy formula, but it's a little bit more emollient than your average cream because of those essential oils and the waxy formula. But it is very smooth, very blendable. And you can just see that nice dewy finish that it leaves the skin. It has a very slight scent, but I don't think it's anything that's too strong. The other thing to know is the only place that you can purchase Joans Road is on the Joans Road website, and their website was very helpful and interactive. That's how I found my color, and I think it's a perfect match. So just don't feel at a disadvantage that you can't go into a store and try it on. I think their website does a really nice job of the color match. This is a water-based, so it should work with all of your water-based concealers, any of your water-based products, cream blushes, for example, or any cream contour that you use. This has almost 9,000 reviews, and of those, they are 4.5 stars. The thing I find just worth noting, however, is that you can only purchase this on the Joans Road website. So all of the reviews that I was able to find are on the Joans Road website. Whereas majority of foundations, tinted moisturizers, you can find them on a variety of websites that some are marketplaces like an Ulta or a Sephora, so you can get different comments, and I don't know that they're as filtered. As I was going through page after page after page of reviews of this product on the Joans Road website, they were all 4 or 5 stars. I'll leave it there. So we're gonna put this one to the test on this side, and let's go to its contender, and that is the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. Now this has an SPF of 30. It sells for $56 at Sephora and $53 at Nordstrom. Not this size, the 1.7 ounce sells for those prices. This is a small trial because I was not ready to commit to the larger size. Now the good news is because that Sephora sale is starting, for many of you it started on the 14th, for others it will start in the next few days depending on your level. I hate to even say that, but that's what it is. This comes in 20 shades and says that it is for all skin type. It offers a sheer hint of coverage, 24-hour hydration. It has a vitamin C and vitamin E complex. It's a little thinner of a consistency than the Joans Road. This is talc-free, paraben-free, sulfate-free, fragrance-free. Joans Road is cruelty-free. Laura Mercier is not. And the Laura Mercier says that it helps to protect skin because it has that sunscreen in it, and it offers a 24-hour hydration. And that is a nice hydrated look to my skin with just applying a little bit of that. And same with the Joans Road sides. At the end, I'm going to share with you which one I think is best and which one might be best for your individual skin type. So if you are ready, let's put them on just as the instructions tell us to. So I am going to apply them without a primer, and I want to see how both of these wear in my T-zone as well as my cheeks, because for good or bad, I guess, my T-zone is pretty oily and my cheeks are typically more dry. Now, because this is a balm and it contains wax and essential oils, I do expect this to be pretty oily. So I want to see how it wears on top of my oily skin, and then we'll make some adjustments for how we want to wear and review this tomorrow. So we might have to put a powder on tomorrow. We're just going to see, but then we'll also be able to see how it wears in the dry parts of my skin as well. So I'm excited about having those two different types, because many of you have oily skin and many of you have dry skin. So I think we should get a sense for how this will wear on both types. This one says to apply using your fingertips or a spatula, scoop out the desired amount, apply directly to the face using the skin brush, sponge, or your fingertips. We're going to use our fingertips today for both of these products. Tomorrow we're going to use a sponge. A damp beauty sponge typically will sheer out the product even more. Because these are already light coverage, sheer coverage, tinted moisturizer coverage, they're going to be pretty sheer. So I want to see what that looks like tomorrow. So today, let's see what it's going to look like with your fingertips. It said desired amount. I'm not sure what the desired amount is going to be. I'm going to do half of my face. So let's see if that is about our desired amount, and we will go from there. What I have on so far is my SkinCeuticals Vitamin C, my L'Oreal moisturizer, and my La Roche-Posay sunscreen. I will link all of those in the description box below, and I've let them sit for about 10 minutes between each product. So you'll see I have a little bit of discoloration right through my cheeks, so no, I don't have any concealer on, I have nothing else on, and we'll see how well this covers. Again, I'm not expecting a lot of coverage because it is light coverage. Now it says to blend it with a brush, a sponge, or your fingers, and we will just see if this is enough coverage. It's a very creamy, almost clay-like texture. It's a texture like I've never really experienced before. It's not quite a cream. It's more thick than a liquid. It's not as creamy as a cream, but it's more emollient as a cream. It has a very slight scent, as I've reviewed this before. Where I think this product is really going to excel is for those of you that have dry skin and just want your skin, but a little bit healthier looking version of your skin. And by healthier, I just mean a little bit more of a natural glow. So this does have really nice coverage. I mean, you can see where it's sort of covering up some of those red spots already, and honestly, I was not expecting it to do that. It does feel like it bunches up a little. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a little bit of a spot right there where it's kind of pulled together and where it's sort of bunched together. I can work it out, but just know that that did happen and it's okay. But if you just keep working it with the warmth of your fingers, I think it will just pull it out and rub it right out of the way. But the coverage is really pretty. For as sheer as it is, it's a very pretty natural color. And I thought this one might be a little bit too light, but I actually think, and it might be with summer months, but right now I think it looks perfect. But you can see how nice those red spots are covered, and it just looks like my skin, how I wish my skin would look when I wake up in the morning. That's really what it looks like. Now, both of these are water-based, so I can apply my water-based concealer on top of them, which I will. And whenever I wear a concealer, I avoid putting my foundation or tinted moisturizer where I'm going to apply the concealer so that I don't have two different layers of products in that area. So you'll notice where I have not put this Jones Road WTF, there's still that discoloration, but down in here where I have added it, it's just a really nice natural looking color to my skin, or shade and glow to my skin. So I am pretty impressed. I'm curious to see how this wears on my oily forehead throughout the day. And of course I will do a check-in with you guys and see how it's holding up. Now, typically I would put a little bit of bronzing powder on top of this, but because I want to see how this wears with an oily skin underneath, I'm not going to put any bronzer today, which that's going to be the hardest part of the review for me because I don't like to not have on any bronzer, but you know what, in the name of beauty, that's just what we're gonna do. So that's what the Jones Road side looks like with nothing else on top of it. We will go back and add some concealer in just a second, but let's move over to the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer Natural Skin Perfector, and I have it in color 2C1. Now this comes in a larger size. I got it in the small trial size because I just was not willing to commit until I knew if I liked it or not. Place a small amount on the back of your hand and apply to the face with the S-curve side of the Flawless Makeup Sponge sold separately or with clean fingertips. Okay, well, so instead of getting just your fingers dirty, you must also now get your back of your hand dirty, which is fine. I typically will do that anyway. So on this side, I've got a couple different darker spots. I'm red through my nose, and then this part is a little bit purpley, and we will try to address that purple right inside. No doubt Laura Mercier does powders really well, so now I hope that they've got their tinted moisturizers. Do any of you guys wear a good tinted moisturizer that you absolutely love? If so, leave it to me in the comments. I would love to know, just so that we can share it with other people. Tinted moisturizer is one of those things that it can be hard to find the right one, but it's the tint that I always struggle with. It's either tinted too warm or it's not tinted enough, and then I feel like I've just slathered on some lotion for no reason, some moisturizer that doesn't really do much to my skin. So if you guys have a tinted moisturizer that you love, I would love to know what it is. I think one of these two could be a big winner for us. This feels a little bit warm to me, and I have it in 2C1, and I thought the C was for cool, but it definitely does not look cool. It looks like you have to use it really everywhere to ensure an even coloration, where on this side I felt like I just needed a little bit and just blended it. You guys saw how easy that blended. And this one, I feel like it's just orange, but it's a very pretty, healthy orange. Does that even make sense? Like, if you struggle with orange anything like I do, you guys remember when QT Suntan self-tanner came out? I think it was like one of the very first self-tanners on the market, and my dad used it once. I think it was a joke, because he's not like that at all. So he was so orange, like Oompa Loompa orange. And so I think I just have this thing in my head about just stuff that's too warm or too orange. It's just, I just struggle with it. I'm gonna go in and just take a little bit of this brush. This is not their recommended brush, but it's a brush. And I'm just gonna see if I can't get a better blend, because I feel like it went on patchy, and I can deal with a color that I don't like, but I can't deal with patchy. It definitely covered up some of that redness around my nose, and it diminished the look of some of those, I think, more age spots or red spots on my face. So we're gonna go throughout the day and not apply any powder. I'm gonna add just a little bit of the e.l.f. concealer and see how both of these wear with some concealer on top of them. And e.l.f. is water-based, so there should be no issues with the two products working really nicely together. And I understand that concealer nowadays is really just right through here and right through here, and everybody's got their own design of how they want to wear their concealer. I just tend to still get purple no matter what the trends say. My eyes have not adjusted to the trend. They still get purple all through here, so that is where I need to cover up. And I would just encourage you guys to do the same thing. You know, I love the way concealers can really adjust the structure of your face, the bone structure, as well as contouring. But if it doesn't align with the underlying structure of your face, then it just doesn't work for you. So that is where I like to use your own individual structure and make the adjustments as necessary, or your own individual discoloration, as is in my case. So I wanted to test these products the way the majority of you do it. And with that, I'm just gonna apply a cream product on top of my cheeks, where again, that's a little bit more dry, so I'm not too worried about it slipping. Now, if a cream lipstick will slip on either of these products with dry skin, then we know we've gotta do primer and powder on dry skin. We're gonna wait and see if that's the case. For my cream blush, I'm just gonna use the same product that I have on my lips, and that is this lipstick by Too Faced, which I've been loving, you guys. This is Chocolate Strawberry. It has a slight chocolate smell, which, let's be, I don't mind if it's gonna smell like chocolate. It's not like it gives me cravings all day. I don't run to the fridge needing chocolate, but it is just the perfect nude, peachy color, I think, for spring. And I'm just gonna put a little bit on my finger just to give a little bit of color so that my face doesn't look completely washed out or Oompa Loompa orange on this side. All right, just a little bit of cream blush. I don't want to apply anything else and jeopardize our review of what we have going on here. Well, I will check in with you guys in about 3 to 4 hours, and then we'll do a final check-in later this evening at about the 7 or 8 hour mark and see how these are holding up. Hey you guys, so we are back at the 8.5 hour mark, and I have changed clothes because it has rained, and then it has been sunny, and then it has snowed today. and I just cannot seem to get warm, so I have just had to bundle up throughout the evening. All right, so I took a close look at these two tinted moisturizers before I jumped on camera because I really wanted to see and analyze, and the camera's a little bit far away. So the only thing that I have done to my face since we last saw one another was put on a little bit of lip gloss because my lips were drying. But short of that, I have not touched anything, which is evident by a little bit of flakiness from my mascara. But we're not doing a mascara review today. I really did expect, and I shouldn't judge a book by its cover or a foundation by its jar, but I did expect both of these to get shiny through this area, especially the Joans Road, because it is so emollient with the wax. You really can't tell the difference in shine between my T-zone area where I'm more oily and my cheeks where I am typically more dry. They look the same. The wear of the product is the same. So that's really, really impressive to me. And remember, there's no powder, there's no setting spray, there's no primer to set this. So I'm really impressed with how well both of them have stood the test of the day. Now, this one again is $44. This one is $53 or $56, depending on where you buy it. If we're being really picky, considering that price point, we should expect a good product to last the test of time. The Laura Mercier side looks a little bit shiny. It looks one shine past Healthy Glow. And if I would have just dusted it lightly with some powder a few hours ago, it probably would be completely fine. But again, without anything underneath or on top of these, they look beautiful. Now, in terms of the cream lipstick blush that we wore, there's still a little bit of pinkness right through here. Yeah, it looks like it's worn a little bit more on the Laura Mercier side than it did on that WTF Joans Road side. So, you know, there's so much hype around this Joans Road that I thought there's no way it can hold up to all the hype. Like, it was one of those dramatic TikTok beauty influencers. Oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. There's a lot of those moments when it comes to this Joans Road. And I'm kind of feeling like I understand the hype after wearing it today. The application just takes a little bit of learning curve because it's a different formula, as we talked about earlier today, and it just wears a little bit different, but in a better way than our traditional liquid or cream foundations. I'm a full coverage person, and my husband even said to me today, he goes, gosh, your skin looks beautiful. And he didn't know, I mean, he never knows what reviews I'm doing unless I, share with them ahead of time, like, hey, my makeup might look a little crazy today because I'm trying something new. We didn't have that discussion this morning, so he had no idea. So that is how we're looking at about the 8.5 hour mark. So at the end of day one, they both get a thumbs up from me. All right, you guys, so here we are for our next set of reviews, and we're going to put both of these tinted moisturizers on top of my SkinCeuticals Vitamin C, on top of my L'Oreal moisturizer, and on top of my La Roche-Posay sunscreen. Those have been on and they've been sitting for about 10 minutes in between each one, and now we are ready to put on these tinted moisturizers or tinted balm, whatever you'd like to call this one, because it's in a category of its own. And today we are going to apply these with a damp beauty sponge. Just a little bit on each side, went all the way we needed it to yesterday. One of the reasons I'm excited about moving towards a tinted moisturizer in the summer is because I have been using this Mercier Resurgence. It's a retinol resculpt overnight treatment. And you guys saw yesterday those little red spots that were on my face, and then I wanted to cover those up. And the more I have used this, I use it every night, the more my skin looks better every day. So I'm more comfortable moving into a tinted moisturizer in summer, where I think before I just wasn't comfortable with the way my skin looked. It didn't quite have the glow, and I just had some spots that I struggled with. And this was sent to me in PR, and I said, yeah, I'll absolutely try it out. It's not sponsored, it's not paid, they're not paying me to talk about it, but it's been a really, I mean, if you like Mercier products, this is their new one, and I have loved it. It does have a very, very slight scent, and a lot of different scents trigger migraines for me, and this I was a little nervous about just because you're putting it on your face, so it's going to be close to my nose all night. But I did not wake up with a headache the first time I used this, so I used it the next day and the next day, and it has not been a problem. And I'll link this down below in case you're looking for a good retinol product. Then I've really been impressed with this one. All right, so here's the Joans Road, and we are gonna go in and there's a little bit of a red dot here, but see how glowy my skin is? That is, I think, a combination of that SkinCeuticals Vitamin C and this Mercier Retinol Resculpt at night. I think that is the combination that just has me feeling better about my skin. we're just gonna let me get my mirror a little bit closer so we can see what we're doing here. Now with a beauty sponge, this doesn't blend out. So you can kind of see what that looks like. It looks like the product has sort of bunched up, and this was my issue with it the first time, and it did blend out nicely. It just took extra work. So if you are a fan of putting on your moisturizers or your sunscreens or any of your face products that are liquid or cream this way, you can see how it looks sort of patchy in the beginning, but this will go away. You just have to work it. And I almost wonder if it's not the mixture of the water with the product, even though this is a water-based product, because I have the same products on my skin as I did yesterday when we applied it with our fingers or my fingers. And that was what caused me to struggle with this product before, was just the blending was a challenge if you didn't do it exactly right. Now it did say you can use a damp beauty sponge, so I'm hoping that it will get a little bit better, but can you guys, but see what I mean? It's just, it's temperamental. Now yesterday when we put it on with our fingers, it wore beautifully all day. It blended very nicely. So I know the potential is there. I know it's in there to make this product look better than it does. So I'm just gonna go back in with just a little bit on my finger and get some of those areas where it just sort of looks bunchy and see if I can't blend it out. Yeah, see, that's way better. So I would just say that this Jones Road WTF is not meant for anything other than your fingers. We could probably use a brush and see, but I'm not inclined to do that since we know this way works with the fingers. So let's just leave well enough alone, shall we? That looks really beautiful. It's a nice healthy glow. Let's go over to the Laura Mercier. We're just gonna use about that much and do the same thing. Now on this side you can see there's a few little tiny red spots right through there, so we will see how well this covers, but it is a lightweight and we're doing it with a damp beauty sponge, so I do not expect a lot in terms of coverage. It doesn't feel as orangey to me today when I applied it with a damp beauty sponge, and that would make sense because it will shear out that pigment. But see, those little red spots are still there. They're just not nearly as evident. They're not as prominent. So it's a beautiful tinted moisturizer like the other one. All right, it is buildable, but I think with building this one, I feel like instead of getting more coverage, I got more borderline cakiness, and because I can see this line a little bit more than I did. So I don't know that I would build it too much. I think if you need to go beyond this level of coverage, you might want to just go up to a medium coverage. But if for out in the daytime, I think it's perfectly fine. It just looks like my skin just a little bit healthier and a little bit more glowy. So today we are going to not only change the application, but I'm also going to apply a little bit of powder around the edges so we can see how both of these products work with powder on top of them, and whether I'm using a powder blush or a powder bronzer or a powder contour, or you may use a face powder. In essence, the way these wear with a powder over them will be relatively similar, so you can get a sense for do they wear well under a powder or not. So I'm just going to take a little bit of a blending brush, and I'm using the Too Faced Matte Bronze, and I have really liked this one, and it might be because it has a little bit of a chocolate smell, but not bad. I hadn't shopped Too Faced for a while, but I really have enjoyed going back and picking up a few new products from them. This matte chocolate bronzer is one of them. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of this. I'm not trying to bronze or contour anything per se. I just wanna give myself a little bit of a glow that looks like I've been in the sun. And with bronzer, I like to do a little bit of a figure eight, as I shared with you guys before, just kind of around the hairline, a little bit across the nose, over the cheek, across the chin, just anywhere that would sort of be touched by the sun if we were out and about. And then we're gonna add a little bit of blush. How's the hair? It's a little crazy, but that's okay. Let's add a little bit of blush right on the tips of the cheeks. I'm gonna take a nice big kabuki brush and get it right on the edge, because today's blush I want to be a little bit more soft to go along with the denim that I have on today. So a little bit more of a casual type look. And I'll just take a fluffy brush and blend that in small circles up and away. All right, last but not least, we cannot forget the concealer. Bada boom, bada bing. Well, there's our final look with the dampened beauty sponge application. Here's the Jones Road with a little bit of powder bronzer and powder blush. And here's the Laura Mercier side. They both look really pretty, very natural, healthy glow. Applied a little bit differently with the damp beauty sponge, but it's not a deal breaker for the Jones Road, but just a little bit more work with the sponge. So I will check in with you guys in a few hours and see how they're doing. Hey guys, so we are back after 9 hours and an hour-and-a-half workout that was pretty intense. So I thought this would be the perfect time for us to take a look and see how these two tinted moisturizers stood up to the test of time and the test of just normal life. I did not expect the Joans Road or the Laura Mercier to hold up as well as they did, especially the Joans Road being that it is such an emollient, waxy type formula, very different than your normal moisturizer or foundation, and knowing that we didn't put a primer underneath it, it still is holding up really, really nicely. Some of that blush is even still there, and where I put that bronzer, you can still see where it is right through here, still applied nicely. I mean, I think my face or my skin looks as though, not my whole face, it does not look fresh after 9.5 hours, but the skin still looks good. On the Laura Mercier side, I feel like it's settled a little bit into these lines. I do feel like my pores are more accentuated, and I know we're not gonna focus on pores as much, but we still do. And they looked that way almost from the onset. So I can't even say that it got progressively worse throughout the day. I just feel like that was where the moisturizer settled, was into any area that it could. Now, had we put on a primer, maybe more of a putty primer, it might have kept that moisturizer from settling in. But if you were to look at them side by side, I would definitely say that the Joans Road just looks better. It looks more like my skin. It didn't settle into fine lines and wrinkles. It still has a nice healthy glow without being too shiny. And in this area up here where I am more oily, for those of you that have oily skin, if you thought maybe this would be too emollient for you, I don't think you'd find it to be an issue if you put a mattifying primer in the areas where you tend to get really oily, maybe around your nose or whatever that looks like for you. If you would put that mattifying primer down and then put the Joans Road on top of it, as long as the primer is also a water base so that we don't have a mixture of formulas that don't work well together, then I think you would be fine. If you have dry skin, you will absolutely love the way this Joans Road wears all day, looks very nice. If you like a medium to full coverage, I don't think either of these are your right choice, and they aren't meant to be. So this is really more of your summer, springtime look, very natural light. With or without powder, both performed well in the oil and in the oily and the dry areas. I think that this side looks a little more shiny than this. This just looks very natural to me. It doesn't look shiny, it doesn't look matte, it just looks flawless in a non-full coverage foundation kind of way. Does that make sense? I know you guys that love full coverage like I do know what I mean. It's hard to give that up, but I'm happy with the way this is looking. And I did try the Joans Road about 9 months ago, and I didn't love it as much as I'm loving it now. And the biggest things that I can say that I have changed in my skincare to like my skin better with this kind of a very sheer coverage is I'm using that SkinCeuticals vitamin C that I get from Dermstore. I'll link it down below. I use that in the morning. And then in the night for like the last 3 weeks, I've been using this Mercier Retinol Resculpt overnight treatment. And that, you guys, when I wake up in the morning, my skin is just really pretty dewy, and I've lost some of the red spots that I would wake up with. So I think the combination of those two products, morning and night, is allowing me to like this tinted moisturizer or tinted balm more than I normally would. I think that looking at them side by side, I'm definitely more a fan of the Joans Road than I am the Laura Mercier. The price point's a little bit better. I like how it wears better. It's just more of an even, whether you have oily skin, dry skin, cream products, dry products, it just wears nicely with all of those different variables. So I think for a wider array of women and the variety and the uniqueness of what you do with your tinted moisturizer or foundation, I think it would just wear better for more people. This just feels a little bit like a thin foundation to me. And I hate to say that, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. I love the Joans Road, and I am surprised by that. I didn't think I would, because I felt like when it first came out, everybody was on the PR list and Joans Road was everywhere and everybody loved it. And when I purchased it myself, I just didn't get that same viral love for it that seemed to be everywhere. But I think the changes in my skincare and really giving it a different approach is what has changed my mind and made me love it. So for me, the winner is Joans Road. That would be my recommendation. Again, whether you have oily skin, dry skin, combination skin, which is a little bit different than what I said in my favorites a couple weeks ago, but I had not worn it under these different conditions. So I'm glad that I did, because it makes this an option for many, many more of you. The Laura Mercier side is okay. It's just no different than any other tinted moisturizer that I've worn, and quite frankly, I don't think it performed better than the last two tinted moisturizers that we reviewed, that you guys know what I'm talking about. So we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this Friday face-off, and stay tuned because in 2 weeks there is another one coming and you don't want to miss this one if you love makeup at all. All right, I'll leave it there. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.